replaced by Alan Johnson. Every week I spoke to Robbie. He was the head of that department, and not one week did he ever play any politics. If anything, because of Andrew's and Michael's position, he was very keen that the other side, or the Lib Dems, also featured on the sofa. So if there was any push, it was always in the other direction because of the politics of those two. So I have absolute faith in Robbie. Robbie as a journalist, that's my experience of him. Obviously I wasn't involved in his recruitment of the board, but my experience of him was spent many years. So I think it is unfair to say that Robbie comes with, he's principally a journalist. He was a journalist running the whole BBC's political journalism, and he did that with great skill and great commitment to impartiality. That's my view about it. What I was talking about is that people, and I would say that the board of the BBC is full of really extremely experienced, very good people, and I think we should respect them. They're giving their time, they're giving their work on it, and that's what I was talking about. And as a whole, I don't like ad hominem attacks. I think we should look at what they say and the content of what they say, rather than it being a personal ad hominem point. And that's what I was saying. Saying, of course, staff, and people who know me, I go around talking to staff, and as you know, I have monthly lunches with junior staff to hear from them directly what they think of the BBC, and I get a lot of feedback. Staff are absolutely entitled to say what they want to say about me, but I think just in terms of ad hominem attacks, the individuals on my board are good people, they're experienced people, they say wise things, they challenge, as indeed are the executives, and I just want us to respect that.
We need to move on, Rupert, because otherwise we're going to run wildly out of time. Can I just very quickly ask Sir Robbie, there's been a lot of speculation in the media, including BBC journalists, who are saying that what's happened to the BBC over the last couple of weeks was a board-level orchestrated coup, if you like. Can you just address that for me now? Do you recognise that characteristic? Was there anything orchestrated about what's happened to the BBC over the last couple of weeks, the departure of Tim Davie, etc.?
It's up there as one of the most ridiculous charges. People had to find some angle. It's complete nonsense. It's also deeply offensive to fellow board members who are, as Samir was saying, are people of great standing in different fields. The idea that somehow I'm not even sure what the charge is, to be honest, and basically other than to say it's complete nonsense.
Alan?
Yes, I certainly wouldn't have characterised anything I saw in the last couple of weeks as being a board coup.
Or any kind of orchestrated board level?
No, endless debate.
Okay.
but no orchestrated.
Let's go back to Natasha.
Sorry, can I just clarify something? Because you said that you weren't involved with, obviously, Robbie coming onto the board, but were you involved in helping, also not helping, but what was your role in Dr. Shah becoming chair? Was there any... Nothing. Okay, just clarifying for me to know.
The chair is a public appointment.
Yeah, but I was just wondering, was there any conversations, were your views canvassed in any way? Were you asked your opinion on that?
When I applied for it, as I obviously know many people in the BBC, I've worked for it, I've been involved in it, and I did canvass, including Robbie and many others, whether they thought it was a good idea I applied for the job or not. I have to say, many thought it was, and I remember one, and I won't quote who it is, he said to me, he's a very senior BBC executive, he said, it's one of those jobs, if you don't get it, you might be rather pleased.
You're feeling that way now.
Well, I know what he meant.
I was just wondering, just for process sort of understanding that. So over the weekend we had some reports of a resignation from the board. So Dr. Shah, why did Mr. Banerjee resign from the board?
I'm very pleased you asked me that question. So let me explain to you Sumit Banerjee's role in the board. He is one of our non-executive directors. He's a formidable man with a formidable intellect, and he's contributed enormously in the 4 years he's been on the board. He comes from I believe, a management consultancy, an internationalist commercial view. When its time came up for renewal, which he will be leaving the board in 4 weeks' time, I had a discussion with him in the summer saying that the skills I was looking for over the next few years, especially over charter and funding, were a different set of skills than the ones he possessed, and we would come to an agreement that after 4 years he has contributed extremely well to the BBC debate, but I'll be looking for someone else. Right now, that process of recruiting a new is underway, and I looked last week at the shortlist, which is a remarkably good, strong shortlist. Caroline is part of it, because she's part of the nominations committee, which I chair, which will recruit this, and I was very heartened by this. So I was, and in which these things were discussed. I was responding to a request from Tim Davey because this was a very difficult moment. I said it's not a matter for a formal call for the board to discuss whether one of his executives should or should not be there. That's not matter. However, as a good chair, and because of the seriousness of which the events of that weekend, which led, and may I say, to the resignation of 2 very senior people. This is a very big event. So you would expect me to discuss with NEDs, and I did, all of NEDs, over that Saturday and Sunday, to hear what they had to say. Included in that discussion was, as I said, a 26-minute call to Mr. Banerjee, and precisely because of the miracles of smartphone technology, I can scroll back and see it. So I'm both disappointed and surprised at what he had to say. He has a few weeks to run, and all I can say is I'm disappointed by that.
So I suppose if he's only got a few weeks to go to sort of leave now, feels like it's a bit of a statement in itself, the timing of it. So I'm just wondering, it's been reported that he's described it as being governance issues at the top of the BBC as one of the reasons that he's decided to leave. Was there any more detail around that?
He said it was a private letter to the board, so I will keep that privacy, but it was leaked in some way because one word came out, and I would simply say he was consulted.
Would we, as a committee, be able to see that letter? Privately, maybe?
Can I take away that question? I mean, obviously, I want to be as open and as frank with all of you, but it is a private letter, and let me reflect on that and decide how to deal with it.
There was reports today, I believe, in the Eye about a second board member who was on the verge of quitting, and there's also been reports of the role of the EGSC expanding and the creation of a new deputy general role. Dr. Shah, is this not sort of a bit of an admission that perhaps your leadership in this needs to be looked at as well, in terms of whether or not you're able to get a grip of what's happening on that board and if it's all working the way it should do?
You asked a number of questions there. I think on the business of the EGSC and how that should change, I've asked Caroline to do that, and maybe she can speak to the action she's taking and the answers that she will come up with for the board meeting in December. On your last point, no, I don't think that's right. I think right now my job is to steer the ship out of the shop into an even keel and to make sure, and the most important job I have right now is to recruit a Director General. It is far and away the most important thing I need to do.
Would it help I'm a senior independent director, so one of my jobs obviously is to liaise with the other non-exec directors, and I should tell you that Samir has the unanimous support of the board. and that was established at the beginning of what you might call the current crisis, so about a week ago, and was repeated on Friday night. We are very lucky to have him as chairman. And
but there are issues here, aren't there? We're looking now at changing how this all works, and it's taken quite some time to get there. So that was why I asked the question.
Of course, it's completely reasonable. Sorry, completely right question to ask. Sorry, but
and then to wrap up before I think one of my colleagues kind of jump in. So where do we go from here then? What's the next steps for the board?
Well, we are united on the steps that need to be taken. I think, let me put them in 3 categories. The first is we need to examine the editorial failures and take actions, and part of that is to do with examining